Hi there everyone, thanks for joining us for this webinar today. My name's Tom, I'm a resource producer here at TeachStarter. Before working here, I was a classroom teacher in the public education system where I have experience teaching years 2 through to year 6. And I'm really excited to show some of our gamified resources that we have on the website. I'm also joined by some TeachStarter team members who are here to answer any questions that you may have using the webinar Q&A functions. Just a few housekeeping things to point out. Please utilize the Q&A function rather than the chat feature of the webinar. This allows questions and answers to be made public so everyone can see them and benefit from a question that someone else might have had that you also have. While our webinars aren't presented as professional development as such, you still may be able to log this towards your PD hours. It's suggested that you check your state's requirements or check with your PD manager. I think we're ready to get started, so let's get into it. First of all, I'm going to start by searching interactive PowerPoints on the website. And that's going to take us to the search results, but we also have a collection here that I'm going to click on and then filter this collection by most recent, because this is where the PowerPoints that I want to show you are sitting. So to start off, I am going to show the memory matcher PowerPoint using Australian coins and notes. This is a really fun interactive PowerPoint that you can play with your class that is pretty much like the game of memory, but made for an interactive whiteboard setting to be used with a whole class. So you can see a little preview here. I'm going to click download and it'll download the PowerPoint and then I can open it up. So while that loads, I'm going to show how to use this PowerPoint. So I like to just have a quick look over each slide in the PowerPoint before opening up for the first time with my class. Gives a bit of an overview of what this might look like and how to use it. This first slide is a title slide that can come up and you can have that sitting on your whiteboard when your kids are coming inside. Second slide is a how to play with some instructions that you can read now or with the kids. And the third slide is the game board itself. In the instructions, it says that we can add player names to help with the game. So if you have the students that you're going to be playing with, maybe you're doing it in a rotation or with the whole class, we can edit this PowerPoint by double-clicking on the text box here and adding these names. I'm going to add myself and John, the designer who made it, and Janine, another resource producer here at TeachStarter. Then I'm going to go back to the first page and go to slideshow and present from beginning. So this is the game up and running. This could be, just on the computer as the kids are walking in, and it might be a big, engaging, eye-catching thing that the kids are going to be playing with. We can go straight to play now, and this one opens up as a memory matching game board. So if it's Tom's turn first, he's going to just play basically the rules of memory by clicking on one card and clicking on another. Is it a match? It's not a match, so we flip them back over. And then play goes to the next player. So John has a go. I'm trying to remember, was that there? Yes. So John made a match. So then John gets to click on the little X here to record that he's got a point. So gamification in the classroom can be really helpful when kids can have that immediate feedback of that they got something correct, and it also promotes trial and error. So it's okay to not make a match, but remembering where the $2 coin was for future reference. So this game gets played by just matching the coin with the amount value or the note with the amount value. So it's John's turn still because he made a match, but John didn't get a match that time, so he flips it back over. Then it comes to Janine's turn. Janine chooses 2 others, a 20-cent coin. Oh, not that one. Now it's back to Tom. Oh goodness, I'm not very good at this. Oh, there's the 20-cent coin. Now it's testing my memory. So there's John's turn now. He gets the 20 cents, and then he gets another tick. So play would continue until all the matches have been made, and then you might be able to incorporate this as a rotation or as a warm-up for the class. You could also play with teams, setting each scoreboard here as the red team, blue team, green team, and divide your class into 3 teams, and then have them working together in small groups and trying to remember each match to win. Yeah, so that one's a fun one. We also have a few others on the website that are similar veins in terms of memory matching PowerPoints. So we've got some 3D object memory matching, 2D shapes. We also have an international foods memory matcher, which was for Harmony Day to promote some like multicultural foods that come from all different places around the world. So they're our memory matching PowerPoints, which are super fun, just a bit of consolidating some knowledge or a warm-up. They can, be a fun thing with your class. We've also got, the next one I wanted to show is the disappearing hangman. Disappearing snowman, not hangman. It's much less violent than hangman. We were thinking of ideas of how to incorporate the game of hangman without the hanging as such. So with this resource, there are 2 options to download. One option has a set of words already in the PowerPoint, and the other option is an editable version that you can download and add your own words to. For starters, we're going to just download the winter words option, just to give you a look at what it involves. And similar to the memory matcher PowerPoint, this one has This one has the immediate feedback that the kids like to have immediately appear on the screen, and it also promotes the trial and error when they're going through this PowerPoint. So there's a few instructions here for the teachers, for yourselves or for the kids, but along the side here we've got all of the slides with words, and you might notice that there's a answer cover on here as well, just in case you have some very switched on kids that were peeking down the side. We didn't want to give any of the answers away. So I'm going to just choose a random one to start off with, and then I'm going to play from this slide using this little shortcut in the bottom right. And you'll notice that the answer cover has gone away automatically, so it's ready to play. And we've got the bank of letters here at the bottom. We've got our snowman, who is currently not disappeared. It has appeared, but slowly it might disappear if we get some answers wrong. So yeah, you could use this as a whole class activity to warm up, maybe at the start of a spelling lesson or a literacy groups rotation. You could have just one group of kids working with you at the interactive whiteboard to practice spelling words, or just have some fun with these winter words. So I'm going to start off by guessing if we've got an E. Oh, no E's. So we have to erase part of our snowman. So I click on the eraser here and he loses his hat. Oh no. Next up, I'm going to, I cannot remember this word, so this might go terribly wrong. No B's. Probably should have gone with a vowel. So going to go with an A. Oh, no A's. So now he's lost his buttons and his scarf. O's. Okay, we've got an O. So he doesn't lose any part of the snowman. Let's go with I. No I's. Oh, and now he's lost his base and fallen down. S. Okay, got an S. That's okay. I think I've got it. You guys might, it's a winter word, you could probably help. I've got a T, very good. an R, and an F. So we get frost. So this would be a very engaging activity for the kids to work together, promote some collaboration, and it's also sometimes fun just to see the snowman slowly disappear with our fun animations that we've made using PowerPoint. So yeah, that is a super fun activity to promote some collaboration, to get some vocabulary words happening. And you can step through using our little next button here to continue playing. I am also going to now show the editable version to add your own letters. So this own words, sorry. This could be used for spelling rotations, where you might have a list of words that you want to practice with the students. So you can add your own spelling words to the PowerPoint and have the students guess as part of a rotation or as part of a game that you want to play as a full class. So there's a little bit more explanation on how to add these editable words to this PowerPoint. There's some setup instructions and the play instructions as well. I'm going to step through this one, so it's pretty simple to add words once you get the hang of it. So the instructions page is here, teach how to slide is here, and this slide number 3 is what we're treating as a template slide. So it's always a good idea to keep this slide without any changes and duplicate this slide when you want to create something new. So I'm going to right click on this slide and go to duplicate slide. And now we're already automatically on page 4, slide 4, and this is the one that we're going to edit. So I'm going to get a word, let me think. So I can see that I can't see all of my letters. So I'm going to control and scroll. So I'm holding down the control button and scrolling out. It's a handy little trick that works on most things. I'm going to just start spelling a word. I'm going to spell square. And you'll see there's this kind of bank of letters that are kind of linked to the buttons here. So when you spell the word on the slide, these letters will appear when the students click the buttons. So now I'm going to scroll back in, get these aligned up. I'm going to select them all by holding Shift and clicking. And then I'm going to go to arrange and align them so they're all nice and straight, because I like things like that. And I'm also going to distribute them horizontally so they're nice and evenly spaced. So once I've got my word here, I'm going to delete the additional lines by just clicking and deleting using the delete button. And then I'm going to make sure the answer is covered up so the students can't see by accident by just dragging the answer cover down. I'm going to control scroll out again, and that one's all set. Now you'll see that the note has been added here as well. I'm going to just maybe write a hint in here, and I will write shape. So that might give me a clue. If I've forgotten what word it is, I can add the little hint there for myself. And then we're ready to play. So I can just click the slideshow button here straight away. And the answer cover has disappeared, and we can start guessing again. So if I've got an A, the A appears. If I've got an E, the E appears. And we can continue guessing. Oops, I should be erasing the wrong letters, whoops. But once the students figure out that this word is square, then they can finish clicking all the letters that create the rest of the word, and yeah, we've got square. So that is the disappearing snowman, hangman alternative. It promotes some collaboration if the students are working together, that immediate feedback that works for them, and yeah, it's a really fun one. We also have a disappearing ice cream sundae as well, which is a fun alternative that we've got for the disappearing snowman, and it would be really cool to get some ideas for additional disappearing things for fun alternatives to Hangman. Yeah, so that's the disappearing snowman and disappearing ice cream sundae. They both work in a similar way, with the disappearing ice cream sundae having summery words and the snowman having wintry words, and both being editable to add your own words. Okay, now we've got our next one that I would like to show you is our Shape Seekers PowerPoint. Now this PowerPoint is incorporated into a unit for years 3 and 4, but the PowerPoint itself can be used ranging from years 2 to 4. This PowerPoint follows a kind of narrative, a story that is also part of a gamification kind of taxonomy, where students can get engrossed into the story and just be wanting to know what's going to happen next. This story follows a professor who has created a machine that is converting 2D shapes into 3D objects, and the professor needs the students' help to convert or to calibrate the new machine and convert these shapes into objects. The page itself has a little explanation of what happens in each of the chapters of this PowerPoint, as well as links to some of the worksheets and resources that are also referenced in the PowerPoint itself. This is a PowerPoint that follows the story, and the students get extra little cards that help with the progression of their of the story. I hope that made sense. So we're going to open up the PowerPoint. Now this one spans the entire unit. So the PowerPoint itself is quite large, but it can be broken up into chunks. The story starts off with the professor getting a set of plans that they have now created the new machine called the Dimensionator that will need to be calibrated by the students, and the students will have to bring in some 3D objects that need to be scanned in to the database. Then they'll also have to use their knowledge of 3D objects to calibrate how many faces, how many vertices, how many edges each object has. And yeah, it just promotes the progression of the story, as well as you'll find out that we get to link with the Drawing a Town with 2D Shapes resource, and this one slowly adds to the PowerPoint slowly integrates this resource, and the kids will slowly add to their map as they answer questions in the PowerPoint. So it's quite fun to play with students. So I'm going to start it up by showing the title slide and clicking slideshow. Starts off with some fun animations and a begin button, kind of similar to how a game might start, or a choose your own adventure style option. Here we've got the chapter select, so if you've done one chapter with your students in one lesson, you can easily jump to the next chapter by using these buttons here. If we go to the first chapter, it introduces the story to the students. So you could read this aloud with your students in a fun voice. I will spare you my fun professor voice. So this sets up the scene for what the students will need to be doing, and yeah, it gets them engrossed in the story quite quickly. So basically, the Dimensionator is going to convert objects into shapes into objects, and the professor needs students' help by bringing in some objects that they have from home or around the classroom, and needs them to be scanned. So we've got like a begin scan here. The scanning machine starts warming up, and students that have brought in some cubes will hold up at their cube to get scanned, and then the students that have spheres will hold up their spheres, and so on, to try and make sure that they're holding up the correct type of object. So that's a fun kind of introduction to the unit, where students are helping the professor with calibrating the machine so it's ready to begin. Once all the objects has been scanned in, we'll see what the professor has to say, and he says success. We've proved that we've got lots of knowledge already about 3D objects, and he's going to send us a document that will that we need to complete. And this document is a worksheet that they need to complete. So we've got some progress from the beginning of the story, where we have to make the calibrate the machine, and this worksheet's going to be helping them, helping the professor with the calibration to finish the chapter. When we hit finish chapter, we get a nice big chapter complete screen that kind of reinforces the students that they've done the right thing, finished off what they need to do, and get some progress to see what happens next in the next chapter. So we go back to the chapter select. So this might have been a lesson on a previous day. Now we come to the new day, new lesson, and we get to the prism predicament. So the professor is ready to test the prisms section of the machine, and we need to prove that we know what shapes will turn into what type of object. So basically this turns into a little bit of a quiz incorporated with the building a town resource as well. So the students will do part of the quiz, and then when they answer correctly, they'll get some progress on their map that they can physically draw on. So when we click begin, we've got a little bit of a quiz question popping up on the Dimensionator. What 3D object will a square turn into? So if it's a prism, it's getting pushed back into the 3D space, and by process of elimination, a square will turn into the cube. And we got that correct, so we get to the next stage. How many faces does a cube have? A cube has 6 faces. We get a little light up here that indicates some progression. How many vertices does a cube have? Now, if we get the question wrong, if we say, oh, it's got 4, whoops, it looks like those settings weren't quite right, let's try again. So just also promoting that it is okay to make mistakes. We've learned from that mistakes, let's try again. So we're back at the vertices question. Cube has 8 vertices. So we get another light up, and so we know that the third light might mean that we get the cube all ready to be made. How many edges? It's got 12 edges. The light lights up, and it looks like the square is going to be turned into a cube. So some fun animations that kind of are quite satisfying to see, as well as a rewarding success screen that the students can be happy that they succeeded in that question. With some progression that we can go to now, the Dimensionator is printing something, and it prints the map that you might already have printed off that you can then give out to the students. And let's see if Professor DD has something to say about it. And it works. So there was a mysterious card that the professor found along with the plans, and he didn't quite know what the card meant until he saw the map. And now students can use this card, the information on this card, and correlate that with the map that they got to draw 2 circles in the grid locations that are listed here. So their town map will slowly evolve, and once they answer more questions, they will add these extra cards to their map and see the progress of their map take place. yeah, so we've got another kind of 2D shape that we're trying to convert into a 3D object. How many edges does a 2D shape have? Oh, wrong one. I didn't do that on purpose. So turning the triangle into a triangular prism. We've got some fun 3D objects as well using PowerPoint's 3D objects library. And we go to the next page and the Dimensionator prints out some more cards to add to the map. So it looks like these need to be added to our map before we continue testing. So these would stay up on the screen. The kids would draw the shapes in the correct spots of their map before continuing on to the next question. So that's a basic rundown of the Shape Seekers PowerPoint. It ties heavily into the unit, the associated unit as well. So I really encourage you to have a look at that one if you've got classes ranging from Year 2 to 4, and yeah, it's a fun, exciting, could even be for upper years if you're wanting to have a fun brain break or a fun end of term sort of activity that is an educational but a fun activity. Okay, so we're going to leave Shape Seekers there and head to Addition Detectives. Now, Addition Detectives is a similar PowerPoint that is not quite an interactive PowerPoint, but it incorporates gamified elements such as the progression that the Shape Seekers PowerPoint has as well. I'm just going to use that little shortcut there. So I'm just going to hit download and open it up. And we'll see a teacher notes page that gives a bit of a rundown of how the PowerPoint works and how it is best paired with the Addition Detectives unit, as each suspect is slowly revealed over each lesson in the Addition Detectives unit. But this PowerPoint can be used in one lesson or across multiple lessons like the unit suggests. It says that it's based as a detective story and students reveal suspects before determining the correct criminal. There are a few notes about how to view it in slideshow mode as well. So we're going to get just started with the PowerPoint itself. Big starting screen, Addition Detectives, grabs the kid's attention about what this could be. Sets up the story about how a bank was broken into, a vast sum of money has been stolen, and it's up to the students to use their skills with addition to determine who did the crime. The first suspect uses concrete materials. So each suspect has a unique addition strategy, and this suspect is all about concrete materials, starting off the unit in PowerPoint. Concrete materials like MAB blocks. Students will be familiar with the concrete version, like the physical version. So this is a reference to that in the PowerPoint. And the investigation involves the students determining how many animals are in the backyard. And then once they determine how many animals, then they will be given access to the suspect list in the database. So students can have a look and think about that. We click on the answer. There are 8 cats, 3 bears, and 11 birds. So students can use a counting on strategy or something that they're familiar with and add the numbers together to get the 22 animals. So we go to the next slide, and the database shows us all of the people that are listed as potential suspects, and we have to look for the number 22. And number 22 gives us Isabel Underwood, who has black hair and brown eyes. And we click and we see Isabel. So this is our first suspect for the investigation. This allows kids to get that progression that is such a good part of gamification, and they can add this suspect to a suspect wall that you can have physically in your classroom. You're downloading the suspect wall resource that accompanies this PowerPoint. to make a display that you can slowly add to increase the engagement where the suspects are going from the PowerPoint itself onto the wall in the classroom. So yeah, it's a great one that uses multiple different addition strategies, that slowly the students will accumulate new suspects, and once they have all the suspects found, then the PowerPoint finishes up with a solving the crime situation where the database will then have printed out some sums that they need to use their addition strategies to solve and rule out everyone but the one suspect who committed the crime. So it's a fun kind of way to consolidate some addition strategies and unit in a fun and exciting way. The other interactive PowerPoint that I would just quickly like to show at the end is a mini mystery PowerPoint. And mini mysteries started off as paper-based resources, and we thought it would be a great option to incorporate as a gamified PowerPoint. So for this PowerPoint, the premise of each mini mystery is basically a little logic puzzle that students need to determine the statements from each suspect and then figure out whose statements make sense with each other before determining who committed the crime or stole the cookie, or yeah, you'll see here. So we've got who owns the dog, who stole the cookie, who broke the window. Lots of fun little things that increase in difficulty as they go on. So we'll start off with just who owns the dog. You can click the go button. Starts up with a big introduction animation and the question. Click begin, and we get given a set of suspects and their statements. We can click on the look closer button and go step through each statement one at a time. My dog wears glasses and has a triangle-shaped nose. He likes to tell jokes. So students will use their comprehension skills to figure out that, oh, that's not quite a triangular nose, so this mustn't be the pencil's dog. They step through each statement to determine which character statement matches Spot, as well as the cold hard facts, the fact that everyone is telling the truth and that only one character owns this dog. Go to next, and then the solve button. Once students think that they know who owns the dog, we get a click to solve, so we can choose any of these options to figure out if they own Spot. So if I think the pencil owns Spot, we get an instant feedback, no, the pencil does not own Spot, until we figure out who actually owns Spot, and congratulations, you solved the mystery. So another congratulations sign, they get that satisfaction that they solved that mystery, and we can click menu to go back to the menu to solve another one. You might like to do these as a warm-up or an end of session kind of brain break, and progress through them one at a time to get your kids thinking in a logical elimination kind of way. So I think that brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you all for joining. Please go ahead and check out these resources for yourself. They are super exciting, and let us know if you've got any ideas or ways that you've used them in your classroom. We'd love to hear about those. This webinar has been recorded and will be emailed to you, so feel free to rewatch and share. Be on the lookout for future webinars, and have a good day.